are you?
Yeah, we're all right. We're good. Yeah.
Brilliant. So if you could just tell me a little bit about Of Mice and Men, and just tell me a little bit about your amazing characters, George and Lennie.
So Mice and Men it's about two ranch hands, George and Lennie, who work on ranches or do sort of piecework around, and they've been travelling around together. They're friends from childhood, and they arrive at a ranch which has various colourful characters on, and then events transpire, and I'm not sure how much to give too much away, but anyway, it takes place over the course of 3 days, and things move pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about your individual characters, like what sort of characters you play and how you guys sort of look after each other, which is amazing.
Yeah, so I play Lennie, who's the gentle giant, I suppose. You know, he's in the times that it's set, he would just be described as a simpleton. I don't think they'd go any further than that, really. But he's just a real innocent, and he's totally reliant on his. They're best friends, aren't they? Really, as much they have this relationship that there's times when Lennie must drive George up the wall, but I don't think they would ever be without each other, and that's a key theme within the play. The friendship, the need for companionship, and it really stands out that the two of them, they travel together, and that's commented on. That you guys travel around together. It seems everybody else really has a really solitary existence. You have to just kind of keep yourself to yourself, do the job, and people move on a lot. And but yeah, George and Lennie have each other.
Yeah, and I think George is sometimes described as being a bit more crafty, a bit more cunning, but I think he knows he's drawn to Lennie, and their friendship is a very, very deep one, and akin to probably love, I think. And but he's just drawn to Lennie because Lennie doesn't have a bad bone in his body, and especially in that sort of world, he doesn't react negatively to anything. Whereas other people are very defensive about that, and with the result that I think lots of the characters in the play are drawn to Lennie. So Lennie finds himself having these conversations with these people who can just talk to Lennie, and Lennie just takes them at face value. He doesn't judge them. He doesn't do any of that. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why George loves being with Lennie, because he's a very unusual person to find in those times, and because of his disability, he doesn't. His level of understanding means that he doesn't judge stuff, and it's a wonderful thing for George to be around someone who's just that positive. So that's what George gets at.
Yeah.
So tell me, because obviously George and Lennie have this very special, deep, meaningful relationship, and something like that is really difficult to portray on stage. Have you two worked together before in any other production, or how? Because obviously, like, the on-stage friendship chemistry is really strong on stage, and that is something incredibly difficult to personify, because it's not just acting. It's kind of like, well, for a start, you have very long monologues, and it's difficult what you guys do, and I've got a lot of respect for that. So did you guys go out for a drink before you started? Like, how did you build this fantastic friendship that you have on stage?
But first of all, thank you for saying that, because we don't really know how it comes across, and so that's great. It's something that, like, you couldn't fake that, and equally so you couldn't manufacture it either.
No.
It would I think two people would either work well together or they wouldn't. We work well together.
But we haven't worked together before.
Oh really?
No,
I couldn't
before.
see. I did check your credits, and I couldn't see that you'd worked together before.
Yeah, we just sort of clicked, but also we weren't cast, so we didn't sort of have recalls together or anything. We were cast separately,
okay.
so it wasn't as if the director sort of cast us together to see how we worked or anything. So it must have been a bit of a gamble on his part. But just very quickly in rehearsals. We started rehearsals, came in a few days before everyone else, just the two of us, just to kind of work on the relationship. So we started that sort of really early on, and it just seemed to click really quick.
I think that was the secret point there. You two got to rehearsal time together before you started, before you met the rest of the cast?
Yeah.
Because it showed when we were watching the production how special the relationship was. Because like you said, you can't manufacture something like that. You have got it. It's like a Morecambe and Wise sort of relationship. You've either got it or you haven't.
Yeah.
And that was what I was quite worried about, because obviously when I'd read the book when I was 15 years ago, I'm showing my age now, I was really worried that is very difficult from a John Steinbeck point of view to portray that on stage, because it's such a special story.
Yeah.
Especially because obviously it's set in the Depression in America. So yeah.
But no, that is a huge relief, and very encouraging to know that that's how it comes across. It's great.
Yeah.
So. Just finally, what sort of messages would you like the viewers to take home? Because I was obviously walking out of the theatre, there's a lot of issues about segregation and a lot of different issues that are brought up specifically in this play. What sort of message would you like the viewers to take away from them when they watch this?
Well, in general terms, because it's such a kind of harsh, hostile environment that these people live in, and I understand, because when people, it's about survival, and especially when financially the world is a mess, that it's like, well, it's people just trying to survive. But you just think, when it's all that kind of horrible, couldn't we just make it a bit better for each other? You know what I mean? Couldn't we just be a bit nicer to each other? It costs nothing to smile, say hello, whatever, and it's human nature, I suppose. I don't know whether it is just survival, but on a very basic level, you just think, if we were all just a bit nicer to each other, the world would be a better place.
And in a way, I suppose, if we are an audience to sort of go away thinking about, what were the right things to do, and in those certain circumstances of what the characters do, and the idea of things being almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, the idea of certain characters, from George is very protective over Lennie and worried about sort of what he may or may not do, and in some ways in the play, his anxieties about that become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you wonder whether, if he hadn't been so worried about it, would those things have happened, or would they have not? So it's just about maybe ideas of open-mindedness and being a bit more accepting of people, rather than trying to sort of control things.
Judge people,
much.
Tell me about your accents, because the accent was on point last night. What did you have to go through to be able to learn that Californian kind of generation, which is quite difficult?
Yeah. Again, thank you, because it's like, it's a pet hate of mine that when you go to see a play and it's set in a specific place, if the accents aren't right, I can't get beyond that. And I've had a few friends that have come to see this, and they've all said the accents were great, and it was that thing of one guy in particular. He said it sounded like people were from a sort of a 100-mile kind of radius of each other, and I just think, well, that's perfect, because they're not all from the same little village. They are that some of them have moved in, but the accents should have a kind of a common theme within them. They're not that far removed from each other. We had a dialect coach who came in and helped us with stuff, and we made definite decisions, different characters, as to, well, somebody would say, well, I am from California, I'm from Sacramento, I'm from wherever. Other people said, no, I've travelled up, I'm a bit more kind of Texas way, and I think everybody's accent is.
And it's quite useful. Charlie, who plays Candy, is native Californian.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great.
Really
oh, really?
Yes, so if you ever get in any doubt, if you feel you're sort of losing your grip on the accent, just do an impression of him.
Listen to him a bit. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, right, he was fantastic. Gentlemen, thank you so much. So Mice and Men is out till this Saturday in Manchester. Thank you so much. You've been amazing, and really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.